The Battlehosts. Be a better gamer, build a better community.
Okay, welcome to Battlehosts, a podcast, a website dedicated to helping you become a better 40K gamer and to build a better community of players. I'm your host, Mark, and with me tonight is Sean.
Hello.
If you like what you hear, subscribe to us on iTunes to catch all the latest episodes. You can follow us on Facebook under The Battlehosts. If you'd like to support The Battlehosts for as little as $1 a month, please visit patreon.com/thebattlehosts. If you join for $3 a month, you get access to our Discord chat, where we discuss all things related to the hobby. Mm-hmm. So tonight, it's just me and you, Sean, because tonight we're talking Guard.
You know, you are leaving out our third co-host. You guys can't see him because it's an audio, but we have Guardsman Bob here with us. He bravely died for the Emperor, as any good servant of the Imperium should do.
He lasted all of, 8 minutes?
Yeah, pretty good for a Guardsman hitting his first, battle zone. So, yeah, Guardsman Bob is going to hang out. He's our third co-host. He doesn't talk much.
He's a pair of smoking boots at this point. Yes. So we're talking Astra Militarum, or Imperial Guard. And this is the first of a part of a two-part podcast, kind of like we do with all of our army stuff. Today we're going to talk about the history of Astra Militarum and a little bit of an overview of kind of how it plays and some of their special rules they have.
Yeah.
And then we're going to go through the regiments and some of the different kind of the history of each of the regiments, but also the stuff that plays to their strengths, kind of how they play.
Yep.
We're not going to go through all the units because I find what we have done in the past is we've gone through and spent a little too much time kind of going through a lot of the units we like.
Yeah, unit by unit.
And some codexes have a lot of really good units, and we talk a lot. So we're just going to hit some of the highlights. We're not going to go into every unit. By now, you can go on, you could read the codex yourself. But we'll kind of go in more from a regiment by regiment, which is kind of how Guard function anyway.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Part 2 of our podcast, which is going to come in 15 days after this, we talked to Brendan Grant about how to play Astra Militarum competitively. So some of the strengths and weaknesses, some of the more powerful units. Brendan will go into a lot about how he likes to play, what his current list is, some of the weaknesses that he has to work around when he plays Guard, and some of the things that how he can face off against some units, and how other types of lists he kind of has to play a little differently. So the flexibility of Guard is really the theme with our discussion with Brandon. So, and I think that hopefully that'll come through. So Guard, even though they feel like a army that just sits and shoots, they have a ton of flexibility.
Oh, yeah.
A ton of it. So we're going to round out our discussion also, part 2 about how to get started with Guard. Before we jump into Guard, let's hear a word from our sponsor. And by the way, it's a very apropos sponsor because Guard have a lot of models. And playing with a chess clock definitely helps you to move models quickly.
Absolutely. So, and, I continue to use this game as an example. Like a year and a half ago, when chess clocks were really starting to get used, I played against we did not have a chess clock on the table, but he promised me, Ben Biscar promised me, you will get all of your turns. Nice. And he had 180 conscripts that he was deploying. As he's deploying him, he's like, you're going to get all your turns. I'm like, I want to see this. We got done with 45 minutes left in the round. Nice. He was working. Yeah. He was sweating. I mean, he was just move. And he was, you can do it. You can do it. You can play Horde Guard and do fine on time. Yep. The game timer will help.
Yes, it will definitely help you. Also, the decisions need to be, like you said, he's practiced. He's automatic at it. So let's hear a word from our sponsor, DGT.
We all love Warhammer 40K, but sometimes games just take too long. Using a game timer is the best way to make sure games finish and for both players to get an equal amount of time. Check out the Easy Game Timer from DGT, manufacturers and designers of the timers officially sanctioned by the International Chess Federation. It's simple to set up and customize, and your settings are saved when it's turned off. It's easy to use with a large moving lever for changing turns and a clear digital readout. It's the most affordable and high-quality game timer on the market and is the choice of most 40K events. Whether you want to practice before a big event or you just want to be a better player, the Easy Game Timer from DGT is the perfect game timer for your 40K events. The DGT Easy Game Timer is available from many online retailers. Wholesale pricing is also available for tournament organizers. Check these fine clocks out at dgtnorthamerica.com. Speed up your game and improve your play with the Easy Game Timer from DGT.
All right, and we're back. So let's talk about the Astra Militarum or the Imperial Guard.
Yeah.
Now, if you're old school, you call them Guard.
Yeah.
That's just how they roll.
Yep.
Let's talk about the history of the Guard. Now, the Guard in the Warhammer, the game itself, Guard has been around from the very beginning from Rogue Trader.
Yeah.
Like it was Space Marine Guard, Orcs, Eldar, and then assorted Xenos races and random stuff.
Yeah.
The Guard of-
Jokero and squats and all sorts of fun
just all
things.
kinds of fun things that no longer exist, or they exist in different forms. But Guard were always the humans of the story.
Yeah.
And Guard are, they weren't as strong or tough as orcs or space marines. They didn't shoot or hit as well as Eldar.
Yep.
They were the lowest tier infantry
Yeah,
unit.
they were everything that anything was compared to favorably. Oh, well, they're harder to kill than Guard.
Yep.
They shoot better than Guard.
Yep.
They hit harder than Guard.
Yep.
They have more morale, or they
Yep.
stick around better than Guard,
Yep.
all that kind of stuff.
But Guard have one thing that a lot of those others don't, and they have a lot of them.
Yes.
Which is kind of makes sense for the lore, because Guard, there's a lot of Guard in the lore.
Yes. There are billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of them.
Yes. So the way in the lore, the way the Guard became a thing was when the Emperor decided to go on his Great Crusade, and he had all these Astartes, Space Marines. They work really well, but Space Marines are not really very good at hanging around garrisoning worlds.
Yeah.
And so he found really quickly that he was stretched really thin. So he decided, okay, we need to have regiments of Imperial citizens conscripted into the Guard, a Guard. And they are going to be the ones to, first of all, be the planetary defense force, but also to project out.
Yeah.
So the late stages of the heresy before the betrayal of Horus, they were actually a militarized force. They became a military force.
Yeah, and they'd work hand in hand with the Crusade to support the Crusade, to, again, garrison those worlds. Think of Space Marines kind of like, high-level jets.
Yep.
In terms of, they can kill things incredibly well.
Yep.
They can cause untold devastation
Yep.
with not a lot of numbers. They don't really hold ground that well.
No.
Because there's not a lot of them, even in
Yep.
the Great Crusade, compared to the number of worlds that they were taking. Really not a lot of them.
Yep.
And, if you looked at the width of a Space Marine, they're going to have a hard time getting into spots.
Yep.
Or
Yep.
walking amongst a crowd and
Yeah.
not, accidentally body checking grandma into the wall.
Yeah.
All these different things. Guard don't have those problems.
Yeah, it's interesting. You mentioned a lot of times you think of Space Marines as the elite shock troops, but honestly, in the Warhammer 40k universe, it's much more instructive to think of them as a fast-moving jet,
Yeah.
and the Guardsman is the guy on the ground.
Exactly.
'Cause that's the distance between those two.
Yeah. Yep.
The Imperium has over 1 million human-settled worlds, and this is the scope of the lore of 40k. So there's 1 million settled worlds, and every single one of those worlds, they can pretty much run how they want to run.
Yeah.
They always have like a planetary governor who runs things, and there's really no, they don't have to, there's no system of government that's installed by the Imperium.
No, they're not going around and establishing democratic, areas.
There's no constitution.
That's for sure. But they're not forcing them to have a dictatorship
No.
either.
Yeah.
As long as the planet fulfills 2 requirements. As long as they pay their planetary tithe,
Yep.
which many times is not in money.
Yeah.
The planetary tithe is soldiers.
Yep.
Soldiers
Yep.
for the Imperium.
Yep.
And then 2, as long as they are weeding out the psyker, the mutant, the unclean, and turning them over to the black ships of the Inquisition.
Yep.
As long as you're doing those 2 things
Yep.
and you're not making any waves, the Administratum is not going to look at you.
Yeah.
They have too much going on. That 1 million settled worlds, that's like 1 million worlds with an appreciable population. That's not including a world with a mining colony on it. It's just a mining colony. That's not including all the different space stations and habitats. So they have so much to handle. Pretty much they're like, make sure you're sending guys.
Yep.
Make sure you don't have heretics and psychers going crazy on your planet. We're good.
That's it. Yeah. And then, obviously recognize the authority of the Imperium.
Oh, yeah, well, of course. Yeah.
But essentially, that's essentially all they have to do. And that tithe, different planets have different things they have to provide. Some can provide food, some can provide minerals, some can provide manufactured goods, but all of them can provide people.
Yep.
And that's just
Exactly.
that's how they roll.
Exactly.
So that's the thing about the Guard that is interesting, is that if there's 1 million settled worlds, every world is providing enough men. That's the billions and billions of guardsmen.
And for those of you not really familiar with the Imperium on a world-to-world basis, we're not talking about 1 million worlds that are all relatively the same technology level.
Yeah.
We're talking, you might have a feudal world where las guns are being combined with steel plate armor.
Yeah.
Because las guns are super easy to make with the STC, maybe flak armor. They don't have the materials on hand or something like that. All the way up to, incredibly advanced hive worlds, where the guardsmen are taking their own weapons into combat.
Yeah.
And those weapons are handcrafted and, better and shoot farther and shoot more powerfully.
Yeah.
And same for how the You have tribal guardsmen. You have guardsmen that grew up in, a cult of death where they know that they are going to die, and that is their service. Most guardsmen know that they're going to die. Let's not get unclear on that point. But these are ones that seek death.
Yeah.
You might recognize that regiment if you know your regiments, right? They want to go die for the emperor because they are clones, and that's their job. All of these different ideas fit into one army.
Yep. And that also means, though, for gameplay purposes, is that the scale of the game is kind of it's interesting because a lot of times in the lore you hear Marnie's Calgar did this or Abaddon did that or Gilliman did that. Those are single individuals.
Yeah.
But the scale of the game is so large that you can have the Tyranids be a galactic threat. You can have the Orcs be a galactic threat. You can have Chaos be a galactic threat, but humans are still one of the most prosperous species in the galaxy. But it's so large that it all exists within the sandbox that GW has created, which is a 40K universe.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
it's grounded in humans.
Yeah, it is
as much as we think of Space Marines as the face of 40K, and they really are, it all has to be grounded in the human experience because one, that's what we relate to. Yeah. But two, that is the experience of your average Imperial soldier. Is a human carrying a lasgun fighting against monsters. I mean, in the lore, a Space Marine chapter is 1,000, right? 1,000 strong. That's an entire chapter. In old lore, there were about 1 million Space Marines. Total.
That's it.
For everything. One per world.
Essentially.
Don't waste it.
But there's a plenty of guard. And the guard are basically the hammer of the Emperor. And that's what they do. When a planetary defense force falls, it's up to the guard. And so a world they'll have a defense force that stays kind of within their planet, but the guard are usually shipped off-world to go engage in combat.
Consider the difference between a career Marine to a National Guard reservist.
Right?
Pretty much. That's a PDF to a guardsman.
Yeah, they may have a lot of the same equipment even, but the training is different and their focus is very different.
I may have just accidentally offended some of the service members. Let me go back on that. Compare a professional career Army soldier to a National Guard reservist. I'm not going across branches. I'm trying to imply which branches.
You go within the same branch.
In the same branch. There you go.
So a guardsman is just an unaugmented human with a trusty las rifle, but there's a lot of them, and more importantly, they're backed up by a ton of armor, but also a lot of artillery. Yes, and guard are, in the 40K lore, they are the Soviets in World War II. They are the basically every single person in World War I. They are the bodies of soldiers that are tossed into the meat grinder, which is the war that doesn't end in 40K. Yeah, absolutely. And, we've already joked about the short life expectancy of a guardsman. And that's, for the guardsman that hits his first battleground, it's like less than a day. Like it honestly is less than a day. Some of the numbers, it puts it at like 15 minutes if he's going to be ordered into a combat. And a lot of those numbers are based off of real world World War I numbers. And so you have a lot of guard regiments that are going to look like a World War I army. That are their tanks definitely do. Their tanks definitely have that style. That's kind of what they're meant to evoke. They have the sponsons. And tank sponsons went away real quick. But they have stuck around for guard. They have the clanky tracks that are, they don't really have sloped armor much. It's, the same kind of profile as those World War I tanks. You just add a big turret on top of it. Those kind of ideas. And if you made the guard, the aesthetics of them, if you made them look sleek and modern with sloped armor, and they would look weird. They wouldn't look like the narrative they're trying to push, which is guys out there with rifles. Or they would look like a specialized regiment. And see, that's the really fun thing. You can design Talons that are going to look like desert fighters. Really, they should look like desert fighters if you're playing Talon. So maybe you design them with the same kind of design aesthetics as the Mujahideen in Afghanistan in 1981. Right? Well, or you could run one of those, Forge World Guard regiments, and there are some Forge. The company Forge World produces some tanks with sloped armor. Some of them that have more modern takes. They're still using sponsons and stuff like that, but it's a little bit more modern. So that's one of the great things about Guard. It can accommodate. You just don't call them Cadians. Yeah, for sure. And that's the thing, is that Guard have an incredible amount of support from Games Workshop.
Yes.
The only thing that they kind of are missing are those regiment-specific infantry models and we'll talk about the regiments. Yeah, they were discontinued. We'll talk about the regiments in a minute, but really, the Guard uses two advantages of vast numbers and overwhelming firepower, and that's what they do, and that's kind of how they play, really, in a lot of ways on the tabletop. So the Guard are just a human face, and they're the most relatable, and I think that most of the best lore, most of the best Black Library novels have some level of a human face, and it's usually Guard. So
yeah, I mean, I think Gaunt's Ghost is still probably the consensus number one. If you had to be like, pick one series, and that's the only series you could use to represent 40K.
Yeah,
it's going to be Gaunt's Ghost.
Yeah, I think so.
It's Band of Brothers in space.
Yeah,
it feels exactly like Band of Brothers in space when you read it.
Yep,
and that's really engaging.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. Definitely. All right, so the Guard. Let's talk about the general rules of the Guard. Now, the first thing they have is the thing is called a voice of command, or orders.
Yep.
And this is really what make Guard interesting.
Yeah,
and
this is what makes them stand out.
Yeah, and it makes them flexible. So go through. Let's read through the orders. What are the orders that you can give? Because these are kind of important.
Yeah, absolutely. So every regiment is also going to get their own orders, but in general, here are the orders that every regiment can give to their troops.
Yeah,
and these are going to be targeting infantry squads.
Yeah.
So conscripts can receive orders. They only get it half the time because they're new.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, so it's a 4+ on them to bring in some game mechanics. But any Imperial Guard squad that is trained and disciplined and drilled, they're just going to take these orders and use them. Cool. So we have take aim. By the way, a voice of command is given from an officer to one squad, and typically they need to be within 6 inches. You can get box casters, which are radios. And as soon as you have radios, you can go radio to radio.
But you have a commander giving an order to an infantry squad.
Yes, and they have to be the same regiment.
Yep.
Right? They're not going to take orders from somebody else.
Sure.
Hey, you're not in my chain of command. Right?
You're not my boss.
Exactly.
Okay.
So take aim. Reroll hits rolls of 1 for all models in the ordered unit until the end of the phase. Now, orders are given in the shooting phase. So that's reroll 1s in the shooting phase.
Start of the shooting phase, right?
Yep. For those of you that are Guard players, if you find yourself forgetting orders, just add an extra phase, like mentally.
Yeah.
I go,
movement,
psychic
orders.
phase is done. Okay, now we're to the order phase.
Got it.
I physically say that to help myself remember.
Yep.
First rank fire, second rank fire. This is very good.
Yep.
All las guns and all hotshot las guns in the ordered unit change their type to rapid fire 2 until the end of the phase. That means you just doubled your shots.
Yeah.
Those 10 guardsmen are putting out 20 shots at 24 inches and 40 shots. Well, it's going to be less because you have a sergeant there with a las pistol. 36 shots at 12. Bring it down. Reroll wounds rolls of 1 for all models in the ordered unit until the end of the phase. So you can either reroll 1s to hit, reroll 1s to wound, depending on what you think you're going to need more.
Nice.
Forwards for the Emperor. The ordered unit can shoot this phase even if it advanced in its movement phase.
Okay.
That's useful. Definitely useful. Get back in the fight. The unit ordered unit can shoot this phase even if it fell back in its movement phase.
Okay.
So, they...
As long as it's not trapped.
Yeah, fall back from a position. As long as you can get away from that unit, you can turn around and shoot at it.
Nice.
Now, an important thing to note, some of you that aren't familiar with Guard might go, oh, well, if I order them to get back in the fight and first rank fire, second rank fire, they can fall back and fire all that fire. You can only give a unit 1 order. Per turn.
Which is the balancing element of it.
Yeah,
so
if I could do these on multiple units, it'd be...
Yeah.
it'd get problematic at the very least.
For sure.
Move. This is the order that I probably use the most. It's... no, actually, I use it the most. It's tied for first rank fire, second rank fire for probably the best order in the book. Instead of shooting this phase, the ordered unit immediately moves as if it were the movement phase. This happens in the shooting phase, so you're double moving.
Yep.
It must advance as part of this move and cannot declare a charge during this turn. So if you know that you're going to move, which you should, in the movement phase, that means you're moving 6 plus d6, and then you get to move another 6 plus d6.
So you're advancing ahead of time.
Yeah.
Essentially, yeah.
So if you're moving, your guardsmen are suddenly moving 12 plus 2d6.
Yeah.
It's nice, and it's not expected when you have 6-inch little move guys.
Yep. And in addition, with wounds and board control, that's where things get kind of spicy.
Oh, yeah.
Because the Guard they can project out. They can move forward. They're weak, but they're still occupying space.
Yep,
you still have
absolutely.
to develop firepower to kill them.
Definitely.
Nice.
And then the last one is fixed bayonets. This one is my personal favorite order, not in terms of combat ability, but just because it's hilarious when you get to use it. And I always say the same thing. This order can be issued to units that are within 1 inch of an enemy unit. The ordered unit immediately fights as if it were the fight phase. So if somebody has tied up that unit of catechins, thinking that, oh, I tied up your guardsmen, you don't get to shoot at me. And then
Yep.
your catechins look at them and go, I'm not locked in here with you, you're locked in here with me,
They
and
fight
punch them.
in the shooting phase.
Yep.
And then they fight again in the fight phase.
In the fight phase. And in the shooting phase, they can at the very least benefit from the priest.
Yeah. Nice.
And so, yeah,
Nice.
I love that order.
Yeah.
In addition to that, you also have tank orders that can be given from tank commanders.
Yep.
And they have 3. They have full throttle. Instead of shooting this phase, the ordered model immediately moves as if it were the movement phase. It must advance as part of this move, and it cannot declare a charge. It's move for tanks. Then they have gunner's kill on sight, which is reroll hit rolls of 1 for the ordered model until the end of the phase. You're not ordering Lehman Russ units because you can take them in 3, but as soon as you do that, you have to break them up when they hit the table.
Apart, yeah.
So you're ordering individual tanks. Typically, the tank commander is ordering themselves. And then strike and shroud. This allows the tank commander to pop smoke after firing. So you can fire and then pop smoke and get a -1.
So which one, I mean, of the tank orders, typically the reroll ones?
Reroll ones, definitely. If you're worried, if you're like, I need a shoot, but I don't think I'm going to eliminate what's going to be coming back at me, that -1 to hit is pretty useful.
That's nice, yeah.
Yeah, especially if you're sitting in cover. Suddenly you have a Lehman Russ that's toughness 8, 12 wounds, -1 to hit with the 2 up armor save.
Yeah.
Not bad.
That makes sense. Cool. So those are the orders, and that is what is sort of the force multiplier for guard. And it's a fairly simple system, too. It used to be, I think you used to have to roll leadership value to get an order.
Yeah,
but
they cut out a lot of the bookkeeping or extra dice rolling, and they're just like, yeah, it does it.
Yeah, it just does it. And it's actually really, really slick, except for conscripts. But that makes
but
sense.
you know, which honestly, they started out just getting orders, and then they realized, conscripts are a little bit too good. Let's nerf them.
Yeah, yeah. But infantry, I mean, the stats of infantry, they basically, they hit on 4s. They hit on 4s, period.
Yeah.
Strength 3, T3. Veterans and Scions have Blitz skill 3+.
Yep.
Ogrins have T5. And so Ogrins
Yep.
exist as a... they're really pivotal.
Humans.
They're ab-humans, but they're a pivotal unit. And actually, catechins are slightly ab-humans as well.
Yes.
In that they have a strength 4.
Yep.
But infantry are really, really cheap. They die really easily. They have 1 wound. However, these orders are a multiplier for them.
Yeah.
And the best guard commanders know how to use their orders to do what they need to do.
Yeah, I just to kind of give you an idea of there's value in so low points per model. We've been talking about the strengths of guard as, just, you can go out and be there, and there's a bunch of them. I did the math for a guy that was talking tactical Marines versus guard.
Yeah.
As long as the guard get first rank, second rank, they actually out-damage the Marines per point.
You mean just shooting back and forth?
Just shooting back and forth,
Wow.
yes. Like per point, they actually do more damage.
Wow.
I don't have the numbers, and I won't search for it, but it's one of those things where, if you doubt me, go do it.
Yeah.
They do surprisingly a lot of damage for a 40-point unit. That's
Yeah.
the thing. Those 40 points buy you 3 Marines.
Yeah.
So
And the 3 meters are not going to take down.
no, and so when you look at that kind of value, and then you're looking at, it's not just the shooting. They can also charge after that if they want. They can be somewhere else if they need to be somewhere else. The efficiency of the guard model, just the guardsmen, super high, super high.
Yeah, for sure. And orcs boys are efficient in melee. And
Yes.
they can shoot, but really what you're looking at is the melee threat that orcs pose, and they can be buffed to crazy standards high as well.
Yeah.
Guard don't have, they have an order that always goes off, and as long as you place them correctly, you don't necessarily have that tightrope you're walking with, like, do I get this power off? Do I get this thing off? They just do what they do.
Yep.
And they can shoot, and and we talked about catechins being, because they have strength 4, that's why they're really popular, because they can serve as a melee threat as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And they bring in a little bit of more option. They don't quite have the same reaction that some other guardsmen do to suddenly, oh, wow, I have things in my face. I really don't like this. The catechins are like, lick the blade. If it bleeds, I can kill it. They go after it.
Yeah. Guard have the most indirect fire in the game. I was looking through all the different stuff that they have. As far as their options, it's Wyverns, Basilisks, Manticores, Earthshaker batteries, Death Strike, even the simple mortars. A range of 48 on those stupid mortars. I can't tell you how many, you have a cheap unit that you're like, I'm going to set this on an objective out of line of sight, and it gets killed by mortars.
Yeah, and then it just eats like 6 mortars.
Because over time, those mortars will always seem to pick up a unit of 5 something.
Yeah.
5, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't really matter what it is. So, I'll have, I'm playing AdMech, I have 5 Rangers that are sitting in cover somewhere. Those mortars are going to pick them up if they have 6 or 10 or however many they have. but they have a ton of indirect fire and they have range. And that's really what Guard have. They have these tanks that can fire. They have these infantry that's super flexible.
Yeah.
And that's
absolutely.
really the Guard kind of fits what the army plays like. And I guess if you really like the Guard tank aesthetic, there's so many options. We talked about Forge World. There's just so many different varieties of tanks and cool stuff that they have. So Guard are a well-supported army.
Yes.
Some of the regiments we're going to talk about, like I said, they don't really have the models for anymore, but they really are. If you like Guard, if you like the look of them, then you just go for it, because it's very much they just have they have a feel to them.
Yeah, and if you're just looking at like casual play or garage hammer play, or really you're not looking at like I want to be the very best in terms of competitiveness, there are so many different list types that you can build in Guard, and then point at a regiment and say, that's this regiment, right? Like, just not even look at regiment, okay, what list do I build for them? You could build really any list and then go, okay, well, now I want to find a regiment for it. You could do it either way, you know? And so that's one of the great things about the Army is that, like, there are models that I don't see on the table ever. And then I'll play against somebody that has this themed army where they have a lot of those models. And I go, oh, yeah, I forgot about those. And those are really cool. Yeah. I love that you're using them. I love that you're doing that.
Because they have lots of options.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's talk regiments since you mentioned it. Now, the first one we're going to talk about is Acadian. And the Acadian is the Acadian shock troops are from Cadia, formerly known as Cadia, which is blown up in the by Abaddon in the latest Black Crusade.
It broke before the Guard did.
Yeah. So the Cadians basically lived in a world called Cadia, which was next to the Eye of Terror.
Yeah, and it's actually a whole system.
It's a whole system.
The Cadians are drawn from the whole system. So I can't remember. Cadia, the planet.
Yeah.
I think it has a designation, is destroyed, but the rest of the system is still there.
Yeah, and it's around the Cadian Gate is what they called it, because that's where the Crusades had to come through. But the whole point of the Cadians are that any Cadian who can't strip his own lasgun by age 10 is born on the wrong planet, because Cadian lives in the shadow of the Eye of Terror. They are a militarized system. Yeah. And from birth, they are taught to be part of this military.
Yeah, let me just read from the Codex one of these quotes. It's a very fitting quote. They can kill our heroes, destroy our world, drive us back to the very gates of terror themselves. None of it matters, for we will stand, and so long as even one of her sons and daughters draws breath, then Cadia stands with us.
Cadia stands. So that is the Cadian. And the Cadian are the basic guardsmen. They are, if you go out and buy a box of infantry, they're Cadians, essentially. And that's they're kind of the classic guardsmen.
Yes.
So how do they play in the game? What are their rules?
So the Cadian, big thing about Cadians is that reroll hits of 1 in the shooting phase for units with this doctrine. And by the way, their traits are called doctrines. Yeah. Anytime that I'm talking about doctrines, these are like, cult bonuses or chapter. They're doctrines. If you did not move, you reroll 1s to hit in the shooting phase. Okay. Additionally, if you're an infantry unit and you got the order take aim, suddenly you reroll all hits.
Yeah.
Oh, well, all failed hits for those of you that know the difference between that. Yeah. It's, you don't get to reroll the 4s if you have a -1. Yeah. Right? That kind of an idea. But you get to reroll all failed hit rolls for the unit until the end of the phase instead.
Yes.
They generally don't want to move.
Yeah.
Because they're going to lose their rerolls and 1s and their full rerolls. So with Cadia, with the Cadian army, you're going to see a lot of infantry units that are going to maximize their fire. So Cadians typically are going to take special weapons and heavy weapons in their squads. Yeah. Because they want those bonuses. And the cost of the squad itself is a pretty low barrier for entry to get a las cannon or a plasma gun in there. And then additionally, they're going to want to have a lot of officers. Yeah. Because each officer you get, each company commander you get can give out 2 orders. Yeah. And suddenly you have 2 units re-rolling to hit rolls. Yeah. So built around, it's going to be a little bit more castle-y. It's going to be built around a lot of really great shooting. You'll notice that the infantry were the ones that got the reroll, full rerolls to hit. That means Cadian tank commanders that order themselves to reroll 1s aren't going to see it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and in fact, let me just double check that they don't have a different vehicle one. They do not. Okay, so with the Cadian tank commanders, what you're going to be doing there is standing still and then ordering yourself to pop smoke for a turn. Right? But they do really benefit in their artillery as well. Yeah. Because that artillery, that indirect fire that you're talking about, well, it only hits on 4s. So suddenly re-rolling that 1, okay, that's actually pretty good. Yeah. Like that's not so bad. And you're picking up a lot of support there. Generally, though, you're going to see a lot of infantry squads with special weapons, heavy weapons, because you want the full rerolls.
And Cadian are the classic guard.
Yeah.
They not only the way they look, but the way they run.
Yeah, and they have a ton of special characters.
Yeah.
They have Pask, who's a named tank commander.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
The big thing with Pask is that he can give out 2 orders. So
okay.
Yeah, so he can order himself and another unit. Also, he's ballistic skill 2. That's really big for the Guard.
Yeah.
They don't have that
Yeah.
anywhere outside of really Pask.
Yeah.
You can maybe find a few units that can get to ballistic skill 2, but a regular tank commander is ballistic skill 3.
Yeah.
Additionally, they have Lord Castellan Creed. Creed is not the man that he once used to be in former. In former editions, he used to just be able to outflank something, and it was considered his tactical genius. Was so
here's his thing that's showing
was
up.
so great, and that's where you got the meme of like a Reaver Titan popping out of a swimming pool, because he hit it there. However, the big thing with Creed now is that you get 2 additional command points if he's your warlord. He has strategic Grand Strategist as his warlord trait, which is a really good one. That's the reclaim one.
Yep.
And then he can give out 3 orders at a range of 12.
Yeah.
So very, very good.
Good.
Very good value there.
And the Cadian stratagem is the overlapping fields of fire. So after a Cadian unit for your army has inflicted an unsaved wound on an enemy unit, you can add 1 to hit rolls for any other Cadian units that target that same enemy unit. That's actually really good.
Yep.
It's a lot like the Tau have something very similar to that.
Yeah.
But it's really good against an army that wants to sit and shoot. Because once you plink a wound off something, then there you go. You just unleash it.
And to give you an idea of the value there, going from a 4+ rerollable to a 3+ rerollable is a change from about 75% to about 89%.
Yeah.
So you're picking up a lot of value there.
Yep.
And then let's talk about their relic. Chaos players, go ahead and close your ears.
Yeah.
It's a Cadian model only, of course. You give it to a banner bearer.
Yeah.
They can unveil the relic at the start of any turn. Until that, at the end of the turn, you can reroll hit and wound rolls of 1 for all Cadian units within 12 inches of the bearer. So they pick up rerolls of 1s too for a turn with a 12-inch bubble.
Yeah.
That's very large.
Yeah.
Go measure out a 12-inch bubble on either side, and you go, okay, actually, I could pick up most of my army.
That's big.
However, you can instead reroll all failed hit and wound rolls for these units until the end of the turn if they are targeting a chaos unit.
Ouch. That's brutal. Rerolling all hits is brutal.
Yeah, that stratagem used against chaos players will get them very upsetty.
Yep, for sure. All right, so those Acadians, let's talk Catechins. These are some of your favorites.
Yes, this is a regiment that I play.
Army of Rambos. So
yeah.
Acadians are the generic, kind of like the standard guard. They've been raised from birth to be very militaristic. Catechins were born on a jungle world, a jungle death world, where they have scorpions the size of tanks.
Yes.
So to a Catechin, they were raised in one of the most brutal environments that 40K has. And of course, when you read enough lore, every environment is the most. Every environment,
everything.
Death world that does this kind of whatever.
This is the most brutal Vietnam analog. That you could ever grow up in.
Yes. This is a jungle death world. Natural selection ensures only the most deadly survive, and so this is where the Catechins come about, and they are really one of the most. They're not so much they're suicidal; they are just very gung ho.
Yeah,
they are Rambo. They are gung ho.
Yeah, again, if it bleeds, I can kill it. Yeah, right. That kind of an idea.
Yeah, and that's why commanders love them.
Yes,
because the Catechins will go and do the work.
Yes, and they are very skilled fighters. Not to say that the Cadians aren't. The Cadians are more of your regimented, disciplined.
Your classic shooting
military
army.
The Catechins are the ones that you're like, I need that bunker over there blown up, and I have no idea how to approach it, and I have no idea how to clear out the insides. And the Catechins look at it, look at the surrounding terrain, and go, give us 15 minutes.
Yep.
Right? That kind of an idea.
Yeah.
And the big thing with them, you kind of already brought up, they're slightly genetically modified, which the Imperium does a lot, to be able to better survive this death world. And the big thing there is that all of their infantry is strength 4.
Yep, which is a big deal.
Yeah. They add +1 strength to their strength characteristic.
Yep.
In addition, they can add 1 to their leadership characteristic if they're within 6 inches of a friendly Catechin officer. So that surprises people sometimes.
Yeah.
And then each time a vehicle with this doctrine fires a ranged weapon that makes a random number of attacks. So if it's heavy D6, heavy 2D6, you can re-roll one of the dice used to determine the number of attacks made.
Interesting.
So that's a big benefit.
I actually
a lot of people think about the strength 4.
Yeah, but I guess I didn't even recognize that thing is the vehicle benefit.
Yeah,
existed.
yeah. And I mean, if you think about it, I guess like thematically it works.
Yeah.
Because you're fighting in a big jungle and you're like, oh, there's a bunch of gribblies over there in that area of the jungle. How about we just level it?
Yeah.
Yeah, just fire artillery until that whole area of the jungle is smoking ruin, right?
Yeah.
And so what this means is that the Catechins are going to live on really two things.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to live on their infantry.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Catechin infantry are the backbone of a Catechin list.
And they're not afraid to get into combat.
No.
That's the thing about it.
And we're going to talk about one piece that's added to that to make them even more like that.
Yeah.
And so just even with strength 4, suddenly Space Marines are, I mean, again, Space Marines are still going to be able to live a lot better.
Yeah.
But they're suddenly looking at these Catechins going, you wound me on 4s instead of 5s. I'm not sure I like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? If you're fighting against other guardsmen, they're terrified of Catechins.
Yeah.
I love killing witches with Catechins because my Catechins wound you on 3s, and you don't really have an armor save. So the fact that I'm not carrying any sort of power weapon or anything, I just have a big knife.
Yeah.
That works. You don't have much in the way of armor.
Yeah.
So all of these really work. And then Catechins also get a lot of benefit from things like Wyverns.
Yeah.
A Wyvern has 4d6 shots. Well, being able to re-roll one of those shots.
That's a lot.
Yeah. The average expected roll for a Catechin Wyvern is close to, I'm trying to remember, it's close to about 15 or 16. It's about 16 on average, as long as you're re-rolling anything that's, really low.
Yeah.
So it just really works out for them.
Yeah, and the Catechin that we talk about, the combo to make them not just good melee fighters, but really good melee fighters.
Yeah, it's their boss.
Yeah.
Strachan.
Who's baller? He's got an iron arm.
So Colonel Iron Hand Strachan, nicknamed after that, that said arm, is really good.
Yeah.
So he's actually better than I realized, which this is really, really embarrassing to admit. I forgot that he gets one higher strength as well than what's in his characteristic, because he has the doctrine as well.
What's his strength? It's normally 4?
It's 6.
His strength is 6?
His strength is 6.
Wow.
Before the doctrine.
Oh.
I totally forgot that he's strength 7.
Oh, he's strength 7.
That would have mattered when he was swinging at Demon Prince. Let's not talk about it. I'm embarrassed that I've been getting this wrong.
Wow, because you wouldn't assume.
Yeah, well, I sometimes reread your codex every once in a while, guys, because it's useful. Luckily, he doesn't get into combat often for me. But I'm sad. Anyways, the idea with Colonel Ironhand Strachan, first of all, he's weapon skill 2. Mm-hmm. Just like ballistic skill 2 is very rare, weapon skill 2 is very rare. He's the most skilled close combat fighter in the book. Yeah. Like on a one-on-one basis. Yep. He has a bionic arm, which is strength user, so strength 7, ren -1, 2 damage. He has been there, seen it, killed it. You can reroll failed wound rolls made for Colonel Ironhand Strachan in the fight phase when attacking enemy monsters. Nice. So if he is fighting that Demon Prince, he can reroll the wound. An additional note, because so much of his body is cybernetic, he does not carry the regular 5+ of a guardsman in terms of a save. He carries a 3+.
Interesting. Okay.
With an extra wound.
Okay.
So he's 5 wounds with a 3+ armor save.
Yeah. Jeez. So he's okay. Keep going.
Also, he's toughness 4.
Yeah.
If you look at him, he kind of has the stat line of a Space Marine captain.
I was going to say, he's a Space Marine captain.
He has 4 attacks as well. However, he's not going to be only swinging 4 times, and this I definitely haven't forgotten, because he has Cold Steel and Courage. All models and friendly Catechin units within 6 inches of Colonel Ironhand Strachan at the start of the fight phase can make 1 additional attack each time they fight during that phase. Yeah. So your guardsmen are suddenly 2 base attacks. Yeah. And then you add a priest. And a priest gives all Astra Militarum units within 6 inches an extra attack. And suddenly your guardsmen are 3 base attacks at strength 4. Yeah. It gets pretty good.
It's pretty good, especially against like and this is where the way the rules break down slightly compared to the lore. Yes. You can have 30 Catechins with Strachan and a priest. Yes. Can wipe out essentially or reduce like a 10-man tactical squad of Marines. Yeah, definitely. And in the lore, the Marines there wouldn't be a contest. I mean, even though Catechins are tough, they're not quite that tough. Yeah. But we're dealing with the D6 system here, and there's not enough variability.
Yeah, well,
really.
and in terms of scale, Guard are hard to represent on the same table as
really
Space
are.
Marines are.
They are.
Space Marines are underpowered compared to what they do. Guard are overpowered
Well,
compared to what they do.
But they're still a bottom. Like they're still just...
but you can't really drop them anymore.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And so the D6 system kind of crunches all the power levels close to each other. But that said, if the Catechins had the surprise, and they had Strachan with them, I think 1 or 2 Marines would die.
Oh, I think so.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're for sure.
They're not killing the whole unit. No. They do on the table, though. So Iron Hand Strachan, one more thing about him. He carries a 5+ invulnerable save because he is a company commander. They all carry that. Mm-hmm. He also carries a plasma pistol. He can kill himself with the plasma pistol. I don't overcharge it all that much. He also has a shotgun.
Yeah,
right. So
why not?
He's a very valuable model, and even without me remembering that he's strength 7, which I mean, honestly, feel free to write on Discord on comments, laugh at me for that. I've been playing with him way too long.
Is his base toughness 4?
Yes. I've had him kill demon princes. Yeah, because he rerolls to wound, and if he's with the priest, he's rocking around with 6 attacks at weapon skill 2. Yeah, right. So not bad, not bad. Yeah. So I definitely love him. In terms of you kind of already heard a good core of that list: a bunch of guardsmen, Strachan, a priest. You're going to want another company commander at the very least for some mortars. Get some artillery in there, probably some tank commanders, and then. The Catechins work really well with Bulgrin as well. Yeah. Because what you can do is either have the Catechins be the catch and do more damage than you would think a screen would do, and then the Bulgrin can follow up. Or the Bulgrin can be the big hit, and then once the Bulgrin have kind of weakened everything and they've eaten a lot of the fire, suddenly you have this horde of Catechin come in and they go, we're not individually that great, but with all these buffs and the amount of us that we are, we're gonna fight. Yeah. And fixed bayonets, I just got to go back to it. There are situations where I have had 10 Catechin be tri-pointed. I've moved a unit of 20 up behind them because they already combined squads a turn before. Yeah. Combined the 20 squad into the 10-man squad and then gave them the order to fix bayonets with a priest standing behind them. Big note here, Strachan only works in the fight phase, so they don't get his attack. But that's now 60 attacks from that one 10-man unit that you thought was tri-pointing, and then they get a fight in the fight phase. Yeah. It's a lot of fun. Yep. It's a lot of fun.
And we should point out, actually, the Catechins do have models. Like, they're the other guard that have because they're so different from Cadians. Yeah. They're dated like a lot of some of the basic trooper models, but they're not bad. Yeah. Yep. All right, let's go to the Valhallans. The Valhallan Ice Warriors, they are from Valhalla, which is a desolate ice world. They are known as being they're one of the toughest regiments, and all these regiments that they're talking about are quote unquote some of the toughest regiments.
Yeah, that's what gets you into the book.
That's what gets you into the book. Yeah, you got to be worthwhile to get in the book. They're grim, they're tenacious, they don't retreat, and they refuse to surrender. And obviously, they're very good at cold weather engagements.
Yeah, and again, I'm just going to quote the Codex because they really do pick some good quotes here. Oh, yeah. When a man has known the cold of Valhalla, the galaxy offers no other hardship to compare. Alien monsters, unnatural diseases, mud, blood, and blades, all these are kindly gifts by comparison.
Yes. So the Valhallans are Soviets in World War II. That's kind of their look, and I think they look it, and they're super. I mean, I love the idea because it's a different color. You could do that ice blue color and make a really striking army. That
absolutely.
It's like a light gray. They look good.
It's really good.
Super cool.
Yep. They wear great cloaks and they have the furry hats. Yep. And absolutely.
Yep. So what do the Valhallans do?
So Valhallans are going to be all about waves of infantry, specifically conscripts. Yep. So conscripts are slightly worse than guardsmen in terms of stats. They hit on 5s. They have less leadership. But you can take 20 of them base. You have to take 20 of them base. And you can take up to 30. Yeah. And the big thing about conscripts is their leadership hurts them. But Valhallans, infantry units with this doctrine, have the number of models that flee, rounding up if they fail a morale test. Additionally, and this is the big one in terms of on the tabletop power, vehicles with this doctrine that have a damage table double the number of wounds that they have remaining for the purposes of determining what their characteristics are. Yes. So you have to get a Valhallan tank to about a quarter of its wounds before it starts degrading.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's their grim demeanor.
Yes.
So they
that
will
is the
not
name of the
lose
doctrine.
nearly as much, but also their tanks take that much more firepower before they stop working.
Yes, absolutely. And then the relic we talked about the Cadian relic. Oh, by the way, the Catechin relic is a monster slaying sword.
Okay.
Really fun to run on a company commander because it gives them higher strength. It's strength +2, AP -3, 2 damage. You run a company commander with one of those, and then you run Strachan next to him, and then it's like this tag team duo that just runs around with
These
strength.
two bros,
strength 7 and strength 6, and 2 damage each, and they just go around and like fight things up way above their. Yeah, I didn't mention it, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So the big thing for the Valhallans is that they have a pistol, and the pistol. Petrov's Mark 45, and you have to give it to a model with a bolt pistol, and it replaces the bolt pistol, of course, with a strength 4, AP -1, 2 damage pistol.
Yep.
Okay. But friendly Valhallan units within 6 inches of the bearer can never lose more than one model as a result of a single failed morale test.
Wow. That's
yeah.
just like,
so when you have these
got this
massive
pistol.
units of don't run.
Nothing's happening there.
This pistol isn't for the enemy;
Yeah.
it's for you. So that just means Valhallans just stick around.
Yeah.
They just don't leave. You can't morale out their conscripts. They do have a stratagem that replaces a Valhallan.
Yeah, send in the next wave. You select an infantry unit from your army, excluding characters. That was destroyed earlier in battle. You could set it up wholly within your deployment zone, within 6 inches of the edge of the battlefield, and more than 9 inches from enemy models.
Yes. So the issue here, it has to be destroyed.
Yes.
This is not a refresh. It is a replace.
Yeah.
So if you're playing match play, that means you got to pay for it.
Yeah.
However, I will point out that saving 120 points to have 20 models show up on a table quarter that you want, just on some edge of the table that you want, does actually have a lot of utility.
Yeah.
Just being able to go, well, especially because it's not a deploy into reserves.
Yeah.
This doesn't have a limit that you can only do it turns 1, 2, and 3.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
So if it's
turn
turn
1.
6,
yeah.
right, and it's gotten down to the nitty gritty, and your opponent's trying to hold that one last objective, and then suddenly 20 Valhallan conscripts, or 30, if you're going to save that many points, you really should if you're going to save the points. 30 Valhallan conscripts show up.
They show up, they move, they do whatever.
Whatever they need to do. Yeah.
Well, they need a commander to do that.
Yeah,
but
so the commander himself could move, would be close enough, right? There's some plays there.
Yeah.
I won't say it's great, but there are some plays. And also it's fun. And if you're not doing match play, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
It really is, Russian tactics, okay? You know, 3 men, you get a rifle, you 2 get bullets. When the man in front of you dies, pick up the rifle and reload it.
Just keep going with it, yeah. All right, let's go to Vestroyans. The Vestroyans are interesting. I actually think they're one of the more unique looking.
Yeah,
They
definitely.
look like Russian. They have the big Russian furry helmets.
Yeah, they're
furry
Russian
hats,
Tsarists.
but they oftentimes wear gas masks to make them look. They're cool.
Yeah.
So the Vestroyan firstborn during the Horus Heresy, the Emperor asked for the system, the planet, to raise up an army, and they were so busy making war for the efforts, they decided, well, we are going to ignore that order, and instead we're going to continue to make manufacturing and arms for the Imperium, because that's more important.
Yep.
So, of course, the Emperor is the Emperor is brought to near death by Horus, and the thing happens, and Guilliman takes over, and there's a day of reckoning, and they say, we asked for some men, and you gave us nothing.
Yes.
So the Vestroyans decided to make a deal. Every single firstborn is given to is basically sent into the Vestroyan regiment.
Yep.
So they are trying to make amends for failing the Emperor back in the day. Now they give out their firstborn.
Yes.
And a lot of the munitions and arms and stuff are built in the same system to be given to the sons, daughters, fathers, whatever.
Some of them are even family heirlooms that have been passed down, and all these kind of ideas.
Yeah.
Really like them.
So the Vestroyans are super interesting looking, and they're kind of cool. So what's their rule in the Codex?
So the doctrine that they get is units with this doctrine can add 6 inches to the maximum range of heavy or rapid fire weapons they fire, which would normally have a range of 24 inches or more.
Okay. All right.
It's good.
Yeah.
You're suddenly looking at 54-inch range las cannons.
Yeah.
Which, okay, that's not bad.
And
that's not
that
bad.
first ring fire, second ring fire is affected.
15 inches.
Yeah.
Or if you want full shots, or 30 inches if you're just looking at getting that, reach out and touch something.
But a lot of this, unfortunately, a lot of guard artillery and tanks have crazy range anyway.
Yeah.
So this is really mostly benefiting those things that have 36 inches or less.
Yeah. So your basic guardsmen are going to see some benefit from this.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah,
they are.
for sure.
They are.
It's interesting. I don't see them very often in the
Yeah,
tables,
so the
unfortunately.
Australian are going to kind of run a little bit like Cadians, where they're going to want to be mixing in a lot of weapons into their units.
Yeah.
You know, because if you have a 30-inch plasma gun, that's actually pretty usable, you know, in a guard squad. The carrier is going to die, but, you know, I mean, that's kind of the price of being a plasma gun carrier in the Imperial Guard, or in the Imperial Guard. So they do infantry fire really well, and then also they could just get extra value out of that mid-range, you know, bracket. Out of the autocannons, the heavy bolters, the las cannons, the things that have enough range that you want to use them, but just not quite enough for you to not feel like you get outranged.
Yep. Yeah,
You know,
because you don't want to. So that's a good point, because the limitations of those weapons are the range.
Yeah.
But they get around it because they have more range.
Yeah.
So oftentimes most guard players will take the ones that have the range of the board because they don't have to think and they don't want to move. They just want to sit in one spot. So their stratagem is, at the start of your shooting phase, you select a unit. You can add 1 to hit rolls made for the unit until the end of the phase, which is a solid strat for 1 CP.
Yep.
Super good.
That's a good one. And at that point, you're looking, okay, well, what units would benefit most from that? Right?
Yeah.
And so you're looking, it's not going to be a 10-man guard unit.
No.
You don't want to do that. A Vostrian super heavy, on the other hand, or a tank commander, or, you know, those are the kind of options you're looking at where you're going, okay, this +1 to hit is going to be really, really good.
Yeah, because Guard have the Blitzle skill of 4+. Almost everything has it except for special characters and things. That's their weakness.
Yeah.
They're hitting like Tau, but they don't have marker lights. And so you've got to either have volume of fire, or they have certain things like this where you kind of mix and match.
Yeah, and, you know, just to show you how you could maybe use that, there's a strat to reroll all hits for a basilisk or a wyvern. Well, now suddenly again you're looking at that 4+ rerollable going to a 3+ rerollable, and then you make that wyvern double shoot, and suddenly you're getting a lot of value for that 1 command point. So yeah, definitely.
Sure. All right, next is Steel Legion Armageddon, and they look a lot like another regiment that we'll talk about here in a minute, because they have kind of the same sort of look to them. But the Armageddon Steel Legion is basically a very much of a mechanized infantry. They are from Armageddon, but a lot of the Armageddon is in itself a massive manufacturer of weapons and arms.
Yes.
And so they are a legion that, and by the way, it specializes in chimeras. So a Steel Legion Armageddon ride in chimeras.
Yes.
And that's essentially the way they sort of their thing. They are very much, you know, they're like every other guard regiment. Their Armageddon has been decimated by orcs over and over again. So they have a typical, they have an animosity toward orcs as well.
Yes.
So if they need, if a commander needs chimeras and or they need to fight orcs, they will call up the Armageddon Steel Legion.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
what they
absolutely.
roll.
And in terms of aesthetics, these guys look a lot like World War II Wehrmacht stormtroopers.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
they got
for
gas
sure.
masks. They're wearing kind of, you know, the same type of helmet. You know, with all their chimeras, you're looking at mobile warfare. In the fluff, you know, they like to move, they like to push really hard. So yeah, definitely fits that kind of an aesthetic. And their doctrine is industrial efficiency. Infantry units with this doctrine may double the number of attacks they make with rapid fire weapons at a range of up to 18 inches.
Oh,
so we just talked about how the Australian, you know, plus 6-inch range. That extended rapid fire is really nice. Especially because it means you're getting first rank, second rank with 4 shots at 18 inches.
Nice, yeah.
Meaning you just need to be within 2 feet. And your guardsmen are delivering because they move forward
makes
6.
sense, especially
and then,
if they're in a chimera. They're moving forward. Anyways, keep going.
And then the very nice thing here, vehicles with this doctrine treat attacks against them with an AP of 1 as having AP 0.
Which you don't think it's good. There's a lot
AP1
of
shows
stuff.
up a lot.
AP1's a lot.
Yeah.
And especially with the new Space Marine stuff, there's going to be a lot of bolters at AP1.
Oh, yeah, totally.
A lot of the basic firepower at AP1 now.
Yeah.
That's a thing that actually is going to be really, really powerful. So,
I mean, butcher cannons are AP1.
that's true.
So, you know, there are a lot of things that you can pick up there. And then for them, their strat is... Use a stratagem at the start of your shooting phase. Select an Armageddon infantry unit from your army that disembarked from an Armageddon transport vehicle. You can reroll hit rolls of 1 for that unit until the end of the turn. The issue with this is that it's specifically targeting that infantry unit.
Yeah.
And so you're getting rerolls of 1 on an infantry unit. Yeah, that means you can combine it with first rank fire, second rank fire.
Yeah.
That's okay.
But that's 10 guys.
Yeah, it's 10 guys.
Essentially, yeah.
Unless you've had time to combine units.
Okay.
And now you would want to say, okay, now that could be 20 guys, but they have to disembark from a Chimera.
Yeah.
And a Chimera can't carry that many.
No,
So it's one of those strats that it's like, oh, never mind.
But couldn't you move and disembark using the... so let's say the new Vigil strat.
Yes.
Chimera strats.
Yes.
With Chimeras.
Yep.
You could take multiple Chimeras and disembark and go from there, right?
Yes. Yeah, you could.
Yeah.
You could. And I guess actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm selling myself on this a little bit more.
Yeah.
You could use a Vigilist strat,
Yeah.
disembark, get out there, combine a unit into the unit that disembarked. Now you have 20 guys that are all benefiting from it. Because they would be, that same unit would be considered to have disembarked from the Chimera.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Something to do. And I guess if you like Chimeras, that's actually kind of cool. And I guess it feels like, they're lasguns. What other rapid fire weapons, though, could they take? Plasma?
Yeah, you could do a command squad with plasma guns.
Yeah.
Yeah. Riding in a Chimera.
Makes
getting
sense.
out.
Cool.
Shooting people. With +1 to hit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There you go.
okay.
It's Armageddon.
Yeah.
Armageddon Steel Legion.
I like
so let's go with Talarn. Talarn?
Yep.
Or Talarn. One of the two. They are the desert fighters. So if this is much like the Star Wars movies, every planet has their own system
exactly.
of
Yep.
they're all
Monobiome planets. The whole planet's a jungle. The whole planet's a desert. The whole planet's ice.
So the Desert Raiders are from Talarn. They're raised in the desert world of Talarn.
Yep.
And actually, if you've read your Horus Heresy novels, going a little bit back, Talarn was a lush world.
Yes.
Until the Iron Warriors decided to virus bomb it and try to actually take it over.
Yes.
And what happened was one of the largest tank battles that ever occurred, in 40K lore.
Yeah.
The Talarn weren't going to beat the Iron Warriors. However, they retreated to their hiding spaces and fought a sort of a guerrilla warfare.
Yeah,
for years and years and years, and blood and dry. And the Iron Warriors eventually left.
Yes.
Because it just wasn't worth it to take this planet
Yes.
anymore. And Iron Warriors are a really grim legion. So if they decide...
For them to go.
For them to say, this is just not worth it.
Yeah.
That means the Talarn are, again...
Yeah.
Kind of.
Again, think like 1980s Mujahideen fighting against the Soviet Union in Afghanistan. That is what it is.
Yep.
And so they use a lot of the same kind of tactics.
Yeah.
They're going to be hit and run. And so infantry units with this doctrine, which is swift as the wind, can advance and still shoot any weapon type except heavy weapons.
Yep.
So they can still advance and fire their rapid fire. And they're that's pretty much it.
Yep.
When they do so, they do not suffer the usual penalties to hit rolls for assault weapons.
Okay.
So if they're carrying assault weapons and they advance and they fire,
Yeah.
they're not going to suffer any negatives.
Nice. Okay.
Unfortunately, there's not a lot of weapons that are going to fall under that. I guess melt the guns, but melt the guns aren't that great.
It's basically battle focus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And then vehicles with this doctrine do not suffer the penalty to their hit rolls for moving and firing heavy weapons. If a Titanic vehicle with this doctrine advances, it treats all heavy weapons it is equipped with as assault weapons until the end of the turn. So the big thing with them is that they are just going to be moving. They're a very mobile army.
Yep.
They also have a tank order. We haven't really been going into the regimental orders.
Yep.
I'm going to do it on this one just because it reinforces the moving aspect of it. It's those of you that are familiar with Tau and their old rule jump, shoot, jump, where you got to move, shoot, and then move back. Well, this is like clank, shoot, clank.
Yeah.
They clank into position, they fire, and then they're able to clank back out. And so that's able to be done on their tanks. Again, you're going to be looking at tank commanders there. And then the big thing for Talon is that they're able to outflank units.
Yes.
And they're not just able to outflank the units that you might think they could.
Yep.
They're skilled at putting anything they want anywhere.
Yep. And this is their 3CP strat. Yep.
Yep. So you can ambush with 3 CP. Use this stratagem during deployment. Choose up to 3 Talon units to set up an ambush instead of placing them on the battlefield.
Yep.
At the end of any of your movement phases, which again, you're going to be restricted by match play rules.
Sure.
These units can strike from hiding. Set each of them up wholly within 7 inches of any battle edge and more than 9 inches away from any enemy models.
Okay.
This is why a Talon Shadow Sword was being used so often for so long.
Yeah.
Because you can just have a super heavy show up.
Yeah, and the idea having it off the board with the new rules is tough because essentially having that much firepower off the board turn 1 is kind of rough because you're getting less turned out of it. However, it itself doesn't get shot.
Yep.
And you don't have to use it right away, but if you look across the board and go, yeah, it's going to get killed turn 1, I'll just go ahead and just leave this off and then move it in.
And then you can combine that with their relic. During deployment, you can set up the bearer, which you just give it to a character.
Yep.
So you can give it to a tank commander.
Yep.
And 1 infantry unit from your army behind enemy lines instead of on the battlefield, and they outflank.
Yes.
Yep. And so it's very good.
Nice. Which regiment has the shoot into? We haven't got there yet.
So, well, we did. And that was the one that I realized we haven't been talking about orders. For some, like for Catechins, the order is, For the Valhallans, it's part of what makes them work.
Okay, so let's go back to that. Yeah, 'cause that's a crucial piece because I'm like, wait a minute, there's one really important piece here.
So keep in mind, again, this Soviet Union kind of an idea. The Valhallans also use the Russian tactic of hostage negotiation, which is there is no negotiation and soon there will be no hostage. So what they do is they can fire into combat. Let me find the order for the name. The name of that order is Fire on My Command. The ordered unit can shoot at enemy units that are within 1 inch of friendly units until the end of the phase, but each time you roll a hit roll of 1 for such an attack, resolve that attack against a friendly unit within 1 inch of the target unit instead. You may choose which friendly unit is hit. This order may not be issued to a unit that is within 1 inch of the enemy unit themselves. Now, what they designed the order to be is, I can shoot into that combat and acceptable losses. Right? Sir, our men are still engaged. I don't care. Fire the machine guns. What it really becomes is, I'm going to intentionally try to kill those 2 or 3 models that you were tri-pointed.
You
have tri-pointed me, meaning I cannot fire into that combat. Well, would you look at that? Comrade Ivan accidentally hit all my friends with his mortar, and suddenly you're not tied in combat anymore. I can shoot at you.
And that is, and plus, because they have the bodies and the conscripts, they won't lose them. And this is where they have just this massive horde of bodies out there.
Absolutely.
Their screen gets tied up. It's okay. I'm going to shoot into that anyways.
Absolutely.
Kill the guys who are being held hostage and then just go.
Yeah. And honestly, killing the guys that are engaging you, that's nice too.
I could do that too. Yeah,
that's nice too.
Yeah, that's the alternative. It's both are good.
Yeah, absolutely. And
both are
you
good.
can do really funny things to make sure that you're killing your own guys.
Yeah,
you can use the -1 to hit power on your own unit.
Yeah,
and then move the mortar, and now the mortar's firing at a -2.
Yeah.
And so 1, 2s, and 3s, any misses are hitting your own unit. Yeah. So lots of fun things to do there. Just because I'm here, the Vostroyans are actually able to turn all of their weapons into pistols.
Oh.
Yeah, so they can fire any of its weapons. Combat. Yeah, so they can't shoot into another combat, but if they're in combat, they can go, okay, well, we're going to shoot you.
That's actually not horrible.
Yeah.
That's not bad. So they're actually shooting in combat. Okay. Cool. That's cool.
Yep.
And the Vostroyans. Or, sorry, we did Valhans.
The Catechins? Yeah, so the reason why I said it's not as relevant, this is a heavy flamer and flamer one, and it's for infantry. Your infantry aren't going to carry flamers.
Yeah. And Cadians?
And then Cadian is a tank order, pound them to dust. For the duration of this phase, you can reroll the dice when determining the number of attacks the ordered model can make with turret weapons that use a randomly determined number. So battle cannons are heavy D6 with grinding advance, an ability that Leman Russ battle tanks have. If they move half their movement or less, they can double fire the turret.
Nice.
So that battle cannon becomes heavy 2d6. Being able to reroll both of those is really good.
Yeah, for sure. That's
and
nice.
like I said, because they're already benefiting from the reroll ones to hit, this is the one that you're going to be using on your tank commanders.
All right, let's go to Mordian. Yep. Mordians are the parade ground members. So they're not interested in looking like they're not camouflaged. They're not in the jungle.
No.
These are the guys that have the gold sort of like things on their shoulders and they like parade ground ready.
Yeah.
They are a very disciplined, superbly drilled unit that comes from obviously a hive world. It's very bleak. It doesn't have a lot of sun. It's mostly in shadow and darkness. And they are not looking to hide. They are looking to have flak jackets over or underneath their parade dress uniforms.
Yeah, this is like British red coats at the height of the empire, stiff upper lip kind of an attitude.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
We're going to go fight in Africa and we'll be outnumbered and a lot of us will die, but by God, we'll show them what the Brits are made of. That's the Mordians.
That's the Mordians.
That's really what they're going for here.
And their infantry, I mean, granted, again, their metal models have been on stock a long time.
Yes.
But Mordians look really striking as well.
Oh, yeah.
Because they, you could really paint them really nice.
Yeah.
They have that parade ground quality.
They're all wearing dress uniforms.
Yeah.
So if you paint that well, it looks really good.
Yeah, for sure.
It totally does. So their doctrine is parade drill, and if the base of every model in an infantry unit with this doctrine is touching the base of at least one other model from the same unit, the unit has +1 leadership, and you can add 1 to hit rolls made for unit models in that unit when firing Overwatch.
Got it.
You can add 1 to hit rolls made for vehicles with this doctrine when firing Overwatch if they're within 3 inches of one or more other friendly Mordian vehicles.
Yeah.
So again, parade drill, they want to be right next to each other.
Yes.
This is an interesting mechanic that doesn't really exist much else in 40K. That idea of the unit has to be physically touching.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so if you're going to play Mordians, make sure with your opponent that they're fine with you just being like, look, if it's within 1/4 of an inch or 1/8 of an inch, I meant for them to touch.
Yeah, because things get jumbled and
yeah,
whatever,
because otherwise you're going to be sitting there going, oh, I got to touch every base, which on a textured table with terrain can sometimes be difficult. Right? Play by intention. It's a fun one. It's and when I say that, I mean it's really not that great.
No, yeah,
it's not.
But it's it is the one I think that it's hard to say. Yeah, this is something you could kind of do with it. I mean, they're the one that seems to be slightly left out, and that's hard to justify. But again, they look striking.
Yep. And then their strat is volley fire. Use this strategy or this stratagem before a Mordian unit fires. Infantry unit, sorry. Each time that you make a hit roll of a 6+ for a model in that unit, the unit model can immediately shoot again with the same weapon at the same target.
Okay.
So it's
an extra
sixes.
shot.
Yeah,
exploding
sixes
sixes,
for
but not
an infantry unit.
Yeah.
Again,
if it was exploding hits, like if you just hit more, that would be cool.
Yeah,
but the fact that you got to roll again is a little rough. Let's go through the Scions real quick, because the Tempestus Scions are not necessarily from a certain world or whatever. They are these stormtroopers.
Yes.
These are the special forces guys of the Astra Militarum, and they have the newest plastics, and to me they look the freaking coolest.
They're cool.
Good.
They're super cool.
The Scions,
I will say.
Oh yeah.
The Kasarkan stormtroopers, the old metal ones, still my favorite model.
Interesting.
By far my favorite IG models. Not the there's like super old ones, and those ones looked pretty cool.
Yeah.
But they made Katie and Kasarkans. Kasarkans are their versions of Scions.
Oh, okay.
And it's what kind of started the whole idea
of this idea.
Awesome.
I'll have to look this up.
They look very modern military in a lot of cases,
Okay.
but just enough guard for it to really work.
Nice.
Yeah, they're very cool.
Now the Scions to me are definitely they're kind of a splash in thing, because you have to like them, and you kind of splash them in. So what's a rule, or what's a regiment doctrine? Sorry.
Yeah. So their regiment doctrine is stormtroopers. If a model with this doctrine is shooting at a target at half range or less, it can make an extra shot with the same weapon at the same target for each roll of 6+ you make for that model. These extra shots do not themselves generate any more additional shots.
Got it.
So they have exploding sixes. Their order is really good, and it's really what makes the drop units, because they can deep strike.
Yeah.
I don't know if we said that.
Yeah. That's kind of
their big deal, is that they deep strike.
Yep.
And then they carry 4+ armor instead of a 5+, and then they are ballistic skill 3.
Yes.
So just generally they have a lot more tools than other guardsmen do.
Yep.
And for them, they have elimination protocol sanctioned. You can re-roll failed wound rolls for the model from the ordered unit when attacking any enemy vehicles or monsters this phase.
Oh, okay.
So they're all about killing big stuff on that one unit that drops in. So if if you have a unit of 4 plasma guns drop in, pick one, pick an enemy monster, they're going to do a lot of damage.
Yeah, and that's kind of their role.
Yeah,
they're not. You're not meant to have an army of them. They kind of fill that niche of being able to take out some of the tough targets for sure.
And then they have an interesting one. They have a 1 CP intercept strat. So if your opponent sets up a unit that is arriving on the battlefield as reinforcements within 12 inches of one of your Scion units, you can immediately shoot at that enemy unit as if it were the shooting phase, but you must subtract 1 from all the resulting hit rolls.
Yeah,
and that's 1 CP, which is because it's limited only to Scions. That's why it's so cheap.
Got it. So Scions are they're cool. They're cool splashing kind of models.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now let's talk about the 2 other regiments that are not in the book that are in Forge World, and we have to talk about them because we have several Discord members that really wanted to talk about these.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have a channel about podcast list ideas, and Guard has come up multiple times, which is why we're doing Guard right now.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy that we're going to have Brandon for an interview on Guard, because
Yes.
Guard is something that we've kind of waited, but the Guard feel really stable as an army and has been since this edition started. So it's definitely the time is right.
They really haven't had much churn in terms of like what's really good, what's really bad.
Yeah, I mean,
what you want to take.
Things kind of change, points change, but they still play the same, which is great.
Yep.
So it's definitely a time to do it, but also there's a lot of several of the people on the Discord chat want to know about the Death Corps of Krieg.
Yes.
And these are the stormtroopers. These are definitely a Nazi sort of
no, they're
look
not
to them.
They're not.
You don't
they're
think
not.
so?
No, they're World War One.
World War One.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
got it.
the Armageddon soldiers, the Steel Legion, they're World War II aesthetics.
Oh, I see.
The Kriegers are World War One.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
Yeah,
because they're wearing the gas masks, so they come from a devastated post-nuclear death world of Krieg.
Yes.
So post-nuclear.
Yes.
So Krieg was a site of a rebellion over 1,500 years ago in the 40th millennium. So this is fairly recent. There was a rebellion that was put down.
Yep.
And there was a lot of nuclear destruction that happened because of it. Because you just, we talked about there's only so many. You don't have to do much as a planetary world under the Imperium's rule. You just have to recognize their authority and tithe. Yep. And that's really it. They decided not to. So.
And when you don't do that,
the bad things happen.
Yeah, and the Imperium is not one for the light touches of redirection and control.
Yeah, they're not negotiating that.
They're going to bring you back into the fold with a pat on the back, and you'll get him next time.
Yes. So the members of the Death Corps of Krieg have been raised to repent for their former treachery against the Empire by displaying a disturbing disregard for their own lives.
Yes.
So these are the memes. The Death Corps of Krieg.
Oh, yeah.
They literally have sort of the death cult that you talked about.
Yep.
They literally have a wish to die for the Emperor to make up for their perceived slights.
Yeah.
When they were weak before.
Every other regiment views it as a necessity and an honor.
They're grim about it, but it happens.
Yeah. The Kriegers, that is the means and the end.
Yes.
I will go die for the Emperor. Yeah. How I do it? I don't know. Hopefully with a bayonet or a shovel in my hand. But absolutely.
And in their world, it was the government that betrayed them, for breaking away for the Imperium. So the Death Corps are really unique in that they have a lot of their own unique units and models.
Yes.
And that's the thing about them. So to understand them, we have to go to the Forge World, basically book, the Forge World Astra Militarum Index, which is getting really long in the tooth right about now.
Yeah.
Because there's FAQs for days.
It could use it. It could use an update. It was written when a lot of the traditional or conventional wording for some of these rules was not quite figured out yet.
Yes.
And so it could use another pass.
It definitely could.
I don't know if it's going to get it. I honestly don't.
I feel like it probably just needs a rewrite, but I feel like a lot of the Forge World Index stuff probably needs one. And not so much that it's overpowered or underpowered, it just needs to get cleaned up.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
The Death Corps regiment ability is called the Cult of Sacrifice.
They don't go
model,
halfway.
It ignores models slain in the shooting phase when taking morale tests. This is annoying.
Oh yeah, it's really good.
You cannot shoot a Death Corps off an objective until you kill every single last one of them.
Yep.
They will not run to battle shock tests. That's surprisingly small, but it's actually quite valuable.
Oh yeah,
it's really annoying.
There are a lot of situations where I get a 10-man unit down to 2 models, and I stop shooting at it because I know that physically they're dead.
Yep. Yeah.
Morale will get them.
Yep.
As long as I'm not, as long as I'm not going to be completely blocked by the spend 2, I automatically pass. Or for guard, spend 1, get the D3.
Yeah.
If I equal your leadership, okay, you're going to be losing models.
Yep.
Well, with Krieg, it's like, no, I got to kill that last Krieger. And a lot of the times you're looking at a model that's going to kill, or a weapon that's going to kill a lot more than one Krieger, and you're shooting it at that one guy.
Yeah, it screws up your target priority in a lot of ways because you're devoting a lot of firepower to these idiots.
Because you got that one Krieger out there going, "You missed me. You got them. You missed me."
I'm supposed to be the one that dies. So they have their own orders too.
Yes.
So basically, duty unto death. Any infantry or cavalry unit in the unit that is killed in the fight phase makes a single attack.
Yeah.
So if they die in the fight phase, they can make another attack back, which is not bad. Without mercy, all las guns and hot shot las guns in the ordered unit change their type to pistol 2 until the end of the turn.
Yeah.
So this is shooting into.
Yeah, that's you got them tied up. Okay, well they're gonna try their
keep shooting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bring it down. Reroll wound rolls of 1 for all models in the ordered unit until the end of phase. So that's kind of
that's a basic order.
Yep. Forwards for the Emperor. The ordered unit can shoot in this phase, even if it advanced in the movement phase.
Yep, out of the basic book.
Same. Get back in the fight. Same.
Yep.
If it falls back, it can shoot.
Yep.
Move is the same. Basically the same exact thing. And then fixed bayonets. So they're only really the duty onto death is kind of their standard, unique one.
Yep.
So the Krieg have a bunch of unique units. The thing about them, though, is that they are a Forge World army, which requires Forge World resin.
Yes.
I think they are a really well done army. They're super
gorgeous.
unique and striking, and they're interesting looking.
Yeah.
They cost some money and time.
Yep.
They're kind of a labor of love.
They are. And, honestly, I think every 40K player that loves their military history has thought about buying Deathcore or Krieg.
Yeah.
Because they're not just gorgeous, they're also at a slightly different scale.
Yeah.
Which is not enough to throw things off.
Yeah.
But Cadians have these big, massive boots and these big, massive hands.
Because they have that hero scale.
Heads,
yeah.
Right? They're still kind of heroic scale, the Kriegers are, but they're just scaled down enough from heroic scale that they look natural on the table.
Yeah.
And they have so many sculpts that are just like, you could do a squad of advancing Kriegers and a squad of defending Kriegers and a squad of Kriegers that have, emplaced weapons, and all of these different options are out there. And man, if you did nothing but paint and build Kriegers for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, it could be one of the most gorgeous armies in terms of aesthetics.
Yep.
Just you would put it on the table and people would go, this looks like the Battle of Verdun.
Yep. And if you have a Krieg army, you have to have their riders. You have to have a horse unit with them riding it.
And a commissar on the horse.
And
like
how it works.
Yeah, and they're gorgeous.
Yeah, the Death Rider commissar is so funny. That's hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're not going to escape the commissar, no matter what. It doesn't really matter. I think the Death Rider squadron is kind of their unique element. I mean, they have engineers, they have grenadiers and stuff like that, but their Death Rider squadron is kind of the unique piece of it.
It's by far the most visually striking part of their army.
Yeah.
For those of you that aren't familiar, just look it up on Forge World. Yeah. They're gorgeous. They're horses that, because they're riding around a nuclear wasteland, have like modified legs. They look kind of skeletal at some point. I mean, this is like death rides on a pale horse kind of stuff. But it's a whole unit of them.
Yeah, and their hunting lance is strength +2, so 5. -2 AP. D3 damage. You can only attack with a weapon on the turn in which it's charged. They're charging in with lances. It's not horrible. It's not bad. And they have 2 attacks each. The sergeant has 3.
Yeah, and they're pretty cheap.
And they're fairly cheap.
Yeah,
so.
Honestly, if you're going to see like a full Krieg army, you probably see 3 units of those. Yeah, or 2.
Yeah. Other than that, I think artillery makes a lot of sense with these guys because they're not going to die.
Yeah, they've got some cool versions of like quad mortars and stuff like that. Yeah. That they work slightly different, and then they also have a few super heavies that are that have been opened up to a lot of the guard, but were kind of designed for them.
Yes.
They have what looks like a upsized Huey Higgins landing boat.
Yeah.
Upsized.
Yeah.
And then, designed to just deliver dozens of these guys into combat. That was originally a Krieger, kind of idea.
Yeah.
I think everybody can use it now.
Yeah.
But so they're just gorgeous. I think every Imperial Guard player has considered buying one, and then most of us go, well, I'd like to buy a car instead.
Yeah, because you're talking a lot of resin in bulk.
Yeah,
for sure.
And it's not easy to work with that much resin. They're fragile a lot of the times because they are out of that heroic scale.
Yeah,
they have so many thin pieces.
Yeah,
and you're having to bend it back into place. Yep. If you want to do Kriegers, don't let this stop me or stop you.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're a labor of love.
Yeah. Just know going into it.
For sure. All right. The Elysian drop troops.
Yes.
These are these are even Krieg, I think, feels fully fleshed out. Elysian drop troops just look like Acadians with jetpacks on them. If I'm being honest,
somewhat.
They don't look too much different.
Their helmet design is slightly different, but not a lot.
But the Elysian drop troops are from Elysia in the Segmentum Solar, 30 years from the world of Armageddon. They're basically drop infantry regiments. Mm-hmm. So these are the ones that actually decided, hey, I can actually strap a jetpack to my back and go off and do their thing. So they actually have to spend a tour of duty guarding Elysia before they're considered with service. And they're veterans of battles within their homeworld before they go off-world.
Yep.
Their big strategy, of course, is drop troops. So you can't support drop troops with tanks, so they have to support themselves. That's literally what they do.
Yep.
So the Elysian drop troops are they drop troops.
Yeah, and there were, again, a few models that were designed for them specifically, and the Taurus is one of them.
Yeah.
So the Taurus is like a off-road vehicle with heavy weapons strapped to the back. And the Venator has even larger heavy weapons, and it has another axle.
Yeah.
I love the models. The Venator models specifically, awesome. Love them.
Yes.
And the Elysians, because they drop so many things, can do some really funny things.
Yeah.
You know, like you could deep strike your what are they? The little remote controlled bombs.
Oh, the Cyclops demolition vehicles.
Yeah. You could deep strike your Cyclops if, into like behind cover and stuff like that. If you really wanted to. And so they can do some really fun things. They're not supported anymore from Forge World as much as they used to be. A few of their kits got pulled. In fact, I think most of their kits got pulled.
Yeah, it feels like they are kind of we'll go through basically their abilities are during deployment, you can set the model up in high altitude. At the end of their movement phase, the unit can aerial drop into battle. So they deep
strike. Yeah,
they deep strike. They have their own voice of command. They have take aim, move, get back in the fight. But they have hold the line, ignores models killed during the shooting phase or fight phase when taking morale. That's pretty good.
Yep.
Actually, that's not bad. First rank fires, second rank fires, the same.
Yep.
Bring it down is the same. And the move and fire, you can basically count your weapons as assault.
Yeah.
So I think that's actually the same as well. So
Yep.
Their big thing is you just hold the line. That's kind of their new thing.
Yep.
But yeah, you're right. They have certain rules or the number of units is somewhat limited.
Yeah.
And if Forge World's kind of pulling support for it, they might just exist in some memories, and the Taurus is definitely the coolest part about them.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Sure.
And not to if I undersold them too much, I got a local that would, have a few words with me.
Yeah.
They really
into
they are fun.
Yeah.
I mean,
to be able to deep strike everything?
Of course, match play rules means that you're not deep striking everything, but
Sure.
you're deep striking a ton of guys.
Yeah.
I mean, in 1,000 points, you can fit a ton of guardsmen.
Yep.
Right? You could be dropping squads for days.
Yeah,
it's
that's
fun.
actually true. Yeah.
It is fun. The one struggle for both Krieg and Elysians is that their basic guardsman is more expensive.
Yeah.
Which
doesn't make sense for Krieg. I mean,
yeah. I mean, I think they're 5.
Yeah.
I think they're 5. Elysians are more.
You can also take a special weapon squad with Elysians.
You do. You can. And so dropping special weapon squads
Yeah.
gets a little bit better.
Yeah.
And then they
And you
also...
take vet squads as well.
Yep. And so they kind of play into a more elite version of Guard. So really they fall into the same category as Scions.
That's what I was saying. They have a lot of Scions sort of synergies
it
there.
feels a lot like Scions.
Yeah.
And so if you want to play Scions, but you don't want to play Scions, play Elysians.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
It's a lot of the same thing.
Yep.
All right. That is the regiments. So those are the ones that are in the book and also the ones from Forge World. So I think that's all. We'll take a break. We've been talking for quite a while now. Let's hear a word from our sponsor, TraderA.com. If you're like most Warhammer players, you own a ton of models. At one time, you had big plans for these models, but now they just kind of sit, gathering dust, unused and unloved. It's time to clean out your closet of shame. Visit TraderA.com and get cash for your used models. TraderA is run by Captain A, someone who's been in the community a long time and has done a lot to grow the hobby. He's also a personal friend of the show. Unopened boxes, models on a sprue, half-built models, primed, painted, even bits have value. The process is simple. Send him a list of what you have. He'll send you a quote. You pack it up, send in your stuff, and he'll get you cash. You can shop around, but you're going to find that TraderA gives you 40% more than the other guys. You want it quick? You want to get rid of it? Visit TraderA.com. Get cash to buy the stuff that you really want. TraderA.com. Sell your models and get your cash quick and easy. Okay, and we're back. Now, of all the regiments we've talked about, which one is your favorite?
Catechin.
Catechin?
Easy. Yeah.
To play, to look, what do you think?
To play, mostly.
You like them to play because you like the melee element to them.
Yeah, and again, I love being able to just fight people with guardsmen. They don't expect it.
Yeah.
And then suddenly they have all these attacks, and you do the math, and a lot of the times when you get 3 attacks per guardsman, 4 attacks per sergeant, you get these moments with a lot of people where they're going, wait, what?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
How many? And
Yeah.
you're like, yeah, I know. And then you explain the math and I go, whoa. And so that's a lot of fun. Also on the tabletop, they just perform the best.
Yeah.
I like a lot of their fluff. I don't necessarily like their models is the
Yeah.
issue. So
Are there third-party alternatives to kind of the
yeah, there
rainbow
definitely
look?
are. Yeah.
they? Okay.
Yeah. They're just, for those of you that aren't familiar with other models, because you don't really see them, they're all beefy, strong
all
arm
Rambo,
men
yeah.
in cut-off shirts.
They-
Right?
they-
None of them wear sleeves.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't necessarily love that aspect.
They're
of
cheesy.
them.
They're a little cheesy.
Yeah, they're a little cheesy.
Because they have the red bandanas and all that, yeah.
If we get outside of the on the tabletop and what I love most to play, I think it's gonna, again, Krieg.
Yeah.
In terms of aesthetics, Krieg. I personally wouldn't put them at the top for me though, just because I really do feel like they're a little bit oversold.
Yeah.
I don't want to call it like Ultramarine syndrome, but you just hear about Krieg a lot.
Yeah, because they're one of the more unique ones.
Yeah,
And the death cult thing is really, really cool.
Yeah,
It's edgy.
you
It's
get
definitely
a lot
cool.
of fun jokes, and you see a lot of memes about
Yeah.
like oh, what's that over the horizon? It's a night. Oh wait, it's a chaos night. And then instead of like the memes where the guardsman goes, ooh,
Yeah.
it's a Krieg, and he grabs his shovel. Excellent.
Yeah, he's excited.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, like that's fun.
Yeah.
It would actually be Steel Legion for me though.
Really? Okay.
If it's just in terms of they have the gas mask aesthetic, which is what a lot of people love about Krieg, but
Yep.
they're out of the World War One.
Yeah.
So you're looking at mobile warfare. You're
Yeah.
looking. I've always loved mechanized lists, just the
Yeah.
idea of them.
Yeah.
So I love the focus on chimeras. I love
Yeah.
the focus on they are also from an absolutely destroyed world, but they're much more focused around armor.
Yeah.
And those kind of things and aggressive tactics.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and that's much more appealing to me as a player and me as a war historian. I love those
Sure.
kind of aggressive tactics, whereas the Kriegers really are designed to be like World War One. We sit in the trenches, we
Yep.
die.
And then shell and get shelled.
yeah,
That's
absolutely.
essentially what they do.
Absolutely. What about you?
I think I got to look at it from a painting perspective.
Yeah, absolutely.
So oftentimes I find Cadians a lot of grays and greens and sort of just
totally.
a drab look to them.
Yep.
I would want to look for armies that I could paint with some interesting colors, and that leads me to two: the Valhallans.
Oh yeah,
Because I think that nice kind of light gray with some blue would look really, really cool, and their vehicles would look really striking.
Oh yeah.
And then the Mordians, because the Mordians are parade ground ready, and you can
Yep.
get nuts with the Mordians, I think.
Oh totally.
The Scions as well, because I think the Scions lend themselves to some interesting colors, but they look cool.
Yeah.
They're new plastic models.
Yep. Scions were actually they were some of the first models that I bought for Guard.
Yeah.
After I bought the Loyal 32, the next few models I bought were Scions.
Yeah, because I think you want to look at Scions and go, well, they can drop plasma. They can, they have
Yeah.
these interesting
And they look
elements. to
cool.
them. They look cool.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think I would I'd probably go Valhallans or Mordians. Like I said, I just think because of the look and the way you could paint them.
Yeah.
I think a Mordian army would look pretty striking.
Yeah.
So
I think a Talon army, if you did it right,
Talon.
would look really cool.
yeah.
If you did like desert modifications and all your tanks and stuff like that could look.
And
I mean,
Talon,
honestly,
Talon
any
to
of these.
play, Talon
Oh,
looks
yeah.
really good. To me, I think I would enjoy the Talon the most.
Yeah,
In a lot of
And
ways.
maybe that's just your Eldar coming out.
This probably definitely has a lot to do with it. Yeah, for sure. But I don't think there's a wrong way, and actually, really, you can look up a lot of different regiments. There's
totally.
so many regiments.
Yeah, I mean, I know that at one point you were thinking about making chem dogs.
Yeah, the Salvar Kim dogs.
Yeah.
I was actually looking at a modification for that. And of course the Vestroians, because they're red and they got the crazy helmets,
Yep,
the crazy hats.
There's a lot of people out there that have in the past done the Tanith first and only, which is
for sure.
Gaunt's Ghosts.
Ghosts, yeah.
That there's a lot of that's really just lore tied.
Yeah.
They love the lore, they love the idea, they want to
Yeah.
make that. I'm trying to think if there are any other like custom or rare regiments that I've seen.
There's I mean, if you look at just if you just go online, there's a tons of regiments, different regiments. And
totally.
So
Yeah, and if you want some inspiration, the Codex actually has a page about look at what you can convert, and those are pretty cool.
Yeah.
And they can give you some ideas of like,
Sure.
I could jump off from that point right there.
I know we'd even talk about Penal Legion, which is like some of the most hardcore of all hardcore.
Yeah,
They're
there
basically
you go.
prisoners doomed to die, but the Imperium is going to get the worth out of them before.
Yeah,
That's the
and
brilliance of them.
they hold the carrot out that if you can survive this many suicide missions, you get to go free. Guess how many people survive that many suicide missions?
Not often. So
No.
the Imperium is going to get their pound of flesh. That I think that's a pretty good run through. I think of the guard. Now we didn't go like we did. As I said, we didn't go through all the units.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk units and combos and some strategies in the next episode with Brandon Grant, and some really more about competitive level play.
Yeah.
But I hope that we've given you enough flavor of the different regiments, and also just go out and find your own. There are bit sites all over the place.
Oh,
if you want to
totally.
build your guard army of your dreams,
Yep.
there's something out there.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
costs you a little money. It's going to take some time, but it's out there for sure. All right. Thanks so much for listening to our show. We love to hear from our listeners, so please feel free to message us on Facebook or email us at thebattlehosts@gmail.com. If you'd like to support us, you can help us in a few different ways. You can tell your friends about us and like us on Facebook. You can leave us a review on iTunes, which does help to boost our listening audience. Finally, you can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/thebattlehosts. For as little as $1 a month, you can help us with the cost of running the show and staying engaged with the 40K community. So, thanks for listening to Battlehosts,
Be a better gamer.
and build a better community. Oh, yeah, and good night.